All right, here's one from B Dubs. What was the best pitch format you've ever heard or seen? Pacing, energy, information, etc.
Personally, when I'm being pitched a game, I want the developer to know the questions I'm going to ask up front, the basic questions: budget, timeline, theme, genre, platform, unique selling points. And I want that to be addressed, very quickly, preferably on a one-page PDF. Here's the quick facts about the game. And from there, I want to see a good video, and then I want to have an honest-to-God conversation. The meetings that I don't like being pitched in is where we sit down and the developer just talks to me for 20, 25 minutes. And I'm like, I have questions. I want to get in and ask some of this stuff too. It's about engaging the person and it being back and forth versus, me just sitting and being lectured for half an hour. Every game's different. Everybody likes to pitch their games different. I see a whole lot of these things, but it generally comes down to engagement and excitement. If it's the last day of a show and the developer's just like, oh God, all right, Jay, here's the pitch, here's the video, what do you want to know? And I'm like, not a lot, because you're obviously as interested in this as I am.
That's probably better than here's 45 minutes of lore. You can ask your questions for 5 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. It's like, I don't need to know all that level of detail in there right now. I need to know the basics and the facts. And even to the point that if you're those quick facts that I talked about, if you get those to the, publisher beforehand, that way they can make sure that the meeting is going to make sense for them too, because you don't want to walk into that meeting and you as the publisher, you're like, okay, I'm looking for stuff that's up to about $250,000 in funding. And then you've got this project that you're looking at and the developer sits down and goes through all this stuff. And you're like, so how much do you need? And they're like, $3 million. It's like, why the fuck am I sitting in this meeting when I could have been somewhere else? So it really varies based on the game, but it needs to be engaging. I need to be wanting to play that game, by the end of that 20 minutes. How you get there is going to vary on the publisher and the person and all that sort of stuff. But I always recommend be upfront about the facts about the game and what you need and all that sort of stuff. And the rest of it will flow right on through. And don't read me your slide deck.
Yeah, don't read the slide deck. Do the slide deck but talk about it. Don't just read it word for word, because you could do that yourself, right?
Exactly. I am literate.
Right. Arcade from Discord. On the subject of a pitch budget, we've heard advice to intentionally pitch low because everyone expects everyone to run over time and budget. This feels like it's inviting failure and or crunch, but not doing so, if all others are doing it, reduces your appeal. What are your thoughts?
Don't pitch low. Don't pitch low. Don't pitch high. Pitch what you pitch. And don't go in and say, well, we need $100,000 when you actually need like $500,000. Another one of the big things that we see is, I'll look at a pitch submission and it'll say, okay, we've got 6 people working on this for 2 years and we need $75,000. And I'm like, that doesn't add up. That doesn't make sense. And what that typically means is the developer's working on it in their spare time. They have a real job. This is a nights and weekend type thing. It's $75,000 to get through that amount of time, and it's going to take that long because they're not doing it full time. Publishers generally want to make sure, if they're paying you to do it, that this is what you're doing. This isn't like a night and weekend project. They're going to invest this money in it. They want you working on it full time. It's the whole honesty is the best policy. And part of this is because I've been doing this for 20 some years and I'm totally past the BS point on all of this stuff. There's a lot of games out there. There's a lot of publishers out there. Don't waste anybody's time. If you need $500,000 to make the game you want to make, say that.
Yeah.
Every publisher out there,
blunt and upfront.
Oh yeah. But every publisher out there knows that number's fluid. You know, if they really like the game and you need $500,000 to make it, but the publisher only really wants to spend about 350, they'll ask, okay, so I love your game, but what if we only did 350? What would that game look like at the end? You know, and if that doesn't work for you, then you tell them it doesn't work and you move on. You don't want to waste your time. You don't want to waste anybody else's time. And don't go in and say, you know, we need $200,000 to make this game, but the game that we really want it to be is, you know, $750,000 game, because that's what they want to see in the first place. Is how much is it going to cost to make the game you want to make, and then work from there. But no, don't go in and pitch low. Don't go in and pitch high. Pitch the pitch. Tell them what you need.
Pitch. Right. Jelly from Discord.